The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Season 4, Episode 2 is upon us. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Hi, Todd.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Rocking and rolling. You know how that goes.
Well, we are definitely on Season 4, Episode 2, and this is going to be really interesting. We're calling it Spiritual Journey, and our guest today, Justin, is going to tell us a story that's unbelievable but true.
Very true. And we'll tell you more about Justin because we met him through the podcast. He's a friend of the podcast. And he's just got an incredible story. I didn't learn about it until not that long ago. So I'm like, you got to be on. You got to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do today. It's Season 4, Episode 2, Spiritual Journey. And it's on the way next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
Whoa, you beautiful souls. I'm so excited to have this platform where I can share my gifts, the things that I do, what we need to do as a collective energy to really step into soul's path. Reiki and healing and alignment. Oh my goodness, these are all so very important in what we do. I have a daily podcast that I do. You can find me on Spotify and Anchor for your daily vibes, your energies as a collective unit, right? You can also find me on my Facebook page where I really go more in depth with it, but you can find me at Mystic Karma by Victoria.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day, all while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Welcome again to the Sandy and Toddcast. She is Sandy.
And he is Todd.
How are you?
I am great. How about you?
Looking forward to another great podcast here on the Sandy and Toddcast. A little bit different season for us. We're not doing as many lives, but we will be getting back into that when things kind of calm down for us. But in the meantime, we've got some really good shows planned for season 4. So I'm really kind of pumped up about it.
Yeah, me too. We kind of got twisted and turned around this season in between the two seasons because of things that happened, and we had planned for everything, and then it sort of got turned on its ear. But we bounced back, and we have some really, really good shows coming up. And one of the ones that I'm the proudest of is last week. We got really good feedback on last week's episode, so we're going to do more of that kind of thing too, I think, this season.
So last week's episode, we talked about me falling down, and we talked about the house situation. So yeah, I got some feedback on that too. I gotta give you a quick update on the house thing, okay?
Yes.
So tonight, literally right before this podcast, you and I and some of the members of the apps team were chatting online, and I shot some pictures to Sue from apps of the house being built and then the house later on, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there. I am frickin' Columbo. I am Angela Lansbury. I'm sitting there looking at these pictures, and there's a picture of the house being built. And then there's a picture of my grandfather's family, my great-grandfather and the kids and the wife in front of the house. Except I'm looking at it. I don't think that's the house. I was looking at the pillars and I thought, well, that's interesting. This pillar looks like it's like what they would call field stone that they pick from farms and stuff like that. And they used to build stuff with.
Right. And they used to use fieldstone actually around cemeteries to border their cemeteries.
Right. So it had that on the pillars. And then the picture of the house that I had being built and also of today has actual blocks.
Oh.
So then I'm not even sure that, I don't know, it could be a different part of the house that I haven't seen yet, all that kind of stuff. So that opened up a whole can of worms, and now I'm just going frantic about it now. What could this be? How could there be another house? All that kind of stuff.
Well, it's also possible. I mean, how many years? What year was the house built in?
Well, probably like 1905. But
Okay.
between being built and the picture being taken and now today, they didn't go from blocks to fieldstone to blocks. You know what I'm saying?
No, but oh gosh, there's so many different situations, different scenarios.
Well, that's the
that It
thing.
could be.
And you just don't know for sure because there's nobody to ask about that stuff
I
anymore.
know.
That's what makes it
the
interesting.
Sad thing. I sent you this meme that I saw. It wasn't really a meme. It was a saying that I saw on Facebook today about how your ancestors actually can choose you
Yeah.
to tell their story, and they can come to you and they can ask you to carry on their stories for them. And I think that's part of what your purpose in this is, your journey in this is to tell their story. So I think that if there's a way to find these things out, think about the chances, Todd, of you even noticing that, because I must have looked at those pictures a million times myself. And I'm one of those people that I notice the tiniest little things. I didn't even notice it.
It's so minuscule. When you look at it, I'm like, well, that window matches that matches that, but oh my gosh, that doesn't match. And oh my gosh, that doesn't match. So yeah, I went kind of crazy about that tonight. And you're talking about memes. We're going to bring out Justin in a little bit. He is the king of memes on social media. Now, one of the questions I want to ask him tonight is how many times he's been banned on Facebook because,
A lot.
because of his choices.
Well, when he's with us, like, we're friends on Facebook
Right.
too. He's not like Justin's in our group. He's a part of our page, he likes our page, but he's also friends of ours on Facebook. And so the memes keep me laughing like all day long when he's available, when he's not in Facebook jail. The memes just crack me up.
See,
all
I'm
day,
lucky
every day.
because I get them fed right to me through Messenger. It doesn't even need to be posted. I just get like a plethora of memes throughout the day. So I'm always
It's awesome.
So we're going to talk with Justin Gulmire coming up in just a bit. He had a very, very interesting thing happen in his life. And I don't want to say this for sure, but I think that our podcast has helped him to kind of realize what's going on or maybe affirm what's gone on in his life a little bit. I want to mention really quickly before we bring Justin out, we talk about paranormal TV shows on this podcast quite often. And you and I are big fans of Kindred Spirits.
Oh, yes.
And I used to be a fan of Ghost Hunters. That one's kind of faded by the wayside. But you brought one up, to my attention, and I was really, really reluctant to check it out.
Okay, but wait, let me even stop you there because
All right.
I know you so well. That even
Bullshit.
that even when we're not like voice messaging, I can tell by your texts how uninterested in something you might be
Well, yeah.
and how much you don't want to do it and blah, blah, blah. But I said, try this.
It's kind of
Right.
like when
Now-
your mom sits you down at the table and she puts some awful food in front of you and you're like, I really don't want it. She's like, I'll beat your ass if you don't eat it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
So the show's called Knock Knock Ghost. And once tonight I called it Duck Duck Goose, and once tonight you called it Knock Knock Goose or something like that.
it's easy.
So at any rate, I just will say this about it. It's good. The psychic that's on the show is very good.
Yes.
And the other two people who are on the program are fun and entertaining, and it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a very, very serious take on paranormal research, it's not going to be for you. But if you like research, honest to goodness research, along with some fun and some, stuff like that, it'll be perfect for you.
Yeah, you can find Knock Knock Ghost on Amazon Prime. You can find it on Discovery Plus and on Out TV. They're Canadian. And so all of, if not most of, but I'm pretty sure all of the locations that they go to are Canadian, which for me was a gold mine because I don't know much about these places in Canada. So, and you know how big into history I am. So I
Right.
loved learning about these locations. And so it's just, they don't take themselves too seriously. They have a blast and they're just so much fun to watch, and they get really cool evidence.
Yeah.
That's the best part. They get really cool evidence. And so fingers crossed, we're working on hopefully getting them on the show down the line. And that would be fantastic.
That would be cool. There's 3 seasons out there. The 3rd season, I think they switch up the psychic a little bit.
Psychic.
He's
Yes.
very good. I can't remember
Yes.
his name. Could be John, could be Steve, could be
It's
Larry. I don't
Kevin
know.
Whitaker.
Kevin
It's
Whitaker.
Kevin
There
Whitaker.
you go.
And they had Jim Hunt for seasons 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then they have Bree Doyle, who is sort of the sidekick. Tech.
She hates
wizard.
being anywhere near Ghost. She hates it.
Yes, she hates it, and that's even funnier than the whole show in and of itself. And then you have oh my gosh, Richard Rider.
Yep.
Who is a comedian to boot.
Yeah. And
it's just so funny, and it's so good. So highly recommend it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get them on with us in the coming weeks, because I think it'll be a lot of fun and pure chaos.
Knock Knock Ghost is what it's called. Yes. All right, let's bring out our guest. This guy, again, joined our group. I'm not sure if I knew him before the group or after, but we know some people in passing that are the same person and all, blah, 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 blah. But on the show today, we're going to talk specifically about his past and how that's brought him to his present. And the guest this week is Justin Gulmire. Justin, thanks for being along. Appreciate it.
Hi, Justin.
Thank you, Todd. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for being on.
We're so excited to have you. Yeah.
This is kind of weird because I don't know, Justin, if you reached out to me and said I could be on the show, or if I said to you, you really need to tell your story on the show. Do you remember?
It was you. You said you really need to tell your story on the show.
Well, I'm always looking for an angle to get a guest on the show, so I'll use everything I can. So, you joined our group. You started hanging out with the podcast. You started getting involved with it a little bit. And before we talk about your past, I want to talk about the memes a little bit, because
yes.
You tell me about your love for memes, because I think it's kind of interesting, and I think it's gotten you into so much trouble, and yet, and yet you're here with us tonight.
Yes, I'm not in Facebook jail tonight. So, what did that start? I think it started in 2017. My best friend Jerry was really into memes, so there were times that we would be just texting each other memes all day. Like that was how we were communicating with each other.
Yep.
And then he passed away in November of that year. So I guess kind of in a way to kind of pay respects, I just started sharing more memes on Facebook. And then as far as content goes, sometimes I would question it, and then I'd ask, would Jerry post this?
What would Jerry do?
Yes, what would Jerry do? And I was like, he would totally post this. So then I posted it, and then starting January of last year, that's when the Facebook jail started.
So if you really wanted to, you could almost pin all of your Facebook jail on Jerry, really, when you think about it, right?
Yes.
Which is funny, because we always know when you're in jail, Justin.
Oh, yeah,
because it's like immediately everything stops. Yeah. And so we know, if I don't see them all, then I know where you are.
Well, and I'm not telling anything out of school. He was in jail, and then he got out of it. And I'm the fatherly figure at all times in my life. So I wanted to say, now, son, be very careful about the memes you post. But I really didn't say that. And literally 2 or 3 weeks later, he's back in jail.
Yeah.
So
it was 3 weeks. And I was like, I just got out. Come on.
Yeah, but you know what? Memes are great. I love memes. Memes are great because memes say things sometimes, or show things sometimes, that you don't know if you can really say yourself. It's hard to say yourself, or you really want to get a dig in somehow, but you don't really want to do it yourself. So memes are just a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Let's start talking about your situation a little bit, and correct me in my reciting some of this information, because it's been a while since you and I have talked specifically about it. But you consider yourself to be, I know, an empath, but do you consider yourself to also be somewhat psychic? I mean, how do you categorize some of the gifts that you have?
I'm not sure. I know the empath thing was recent. I do think there is some psychic stuff going on. The dreams I have are just crazy. If those are showing me the abilities I have, that's just nuts.
Yeah.
Now, did you have the empath thing pretty much your entire life and just kind of set it aside, and then you had the life-changing experience and it became more evident to you, or is this something completely out of the blue?
I had it when I was a very little kid. I actually remember back to whenever we had like relatives stay at our house for the weekend, and they would leave on Sunday. But after they left, it always bothered me that I could still feel like they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that energy would be like in the living room. So I'd like go to the opposite side of the house just to try to get away from it. And
do you find yourself to be like a typical empath? And I don't want to say typical because I think a lot of empaths are different. But in my case, I'm somebody who really does care about people, but in the same respect wants nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's me. Yeah.
Yep. I think that happens a lot, and it can be very, I guess, confusing for an empath, especially in the beginning, to not understand why they care so deeply, but they really care deeply from afar.
I was just going to say, care deeply from a distance, right?
Yeah. It's. I mean, I can't even watch things on television without crying. For, the most ridiculous reasons. When I was a child, I was called overly dramatic about everything.
Not just as a child, Sandy. I mean, I was literally just talking about you today to Justin, and I said overly dramatic.
Oh, that's so not true. I'm not overly dramatic. I've sort of learned how to calm
Oh my God,
down.
the wind chill. Oh my God,
It's cold here. The wind chill was like -10 this morning. And when you take a dog out to walk, to go to the bathroom, they never go right away. It was horrible. So, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
So maybe not overly dramatic. So,
okay,
Justin, so you started off as a child. You had some empathic tendencies that I'm assuming you did not understand. Obviously, at that age, you had no idea.
And I didn't know who to talk to either.
Right.
I just thought it was normal, and then I didn't understand them at all. So,
So I hope you'll be open and talk about anything. But as I mentioned before, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, you can just tell us. But you had a life-changing experience. So I'm going to let you kind of explain what happened and then what changed in your life.
Okay. Well, it was July 11th. July 11th, 2011. Leading up to this, I guess I started seeing 11:11 on a clock earlier that year, and the first time I noticed it was about April. That's when I noticed it was a trend. I had no idea what it was. I even put statuses on Facebook, is anyone else seeing 11:11? And people were like, what are you talking about, crazy guy?
Mm-hmm.
So that was happening, and I was extremely paranoid. I hated walking into the kitchen, and then 11:11 was on the microwave and the stove. I was like, oh my God, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so July 11th of all days. That's kind of weird. So one of my friends she was competing in a karaoke contest at a bar. And she was messaging me over Facebook. She was like, oh, can you please come? It would really mean so much to me. And back then I was I was a different person. I was very much, because I think of the empath thing, I was very much a people pleaser. I just wanted everyone to like me. So I wasn't really feeling like going out that night, but since she said it would mean so much to me if you did, I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'll go out for a little bit just to support her.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there, she does her thing. There's some other people competing. And then she did talk to me for a little bit, but then she was kind of, just being social butterfly, moving around. But then she disappeared at one point. So I was like, okay, well, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, this is lame. So the gay bar was just a couple buildings down. So I decided, I'll go see if anyone's there. And at this time too, I lost my job in June of that year. It was a layoff. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So I go to the gay bar. And then someone heard that my birthday was actually July 10th. Okay. So they heard it was my birthday. And so they bought me a birthday shot. And I took it. And then I remember looking, I wasn't even drunk at this point. I was looking at my drink being like, okay, I'm tired. I don't know anyone here. I'll just finish this drink and I'll go home. And then I blacked out shortly after that drink. I even remember the music video that was playing. And next thing I know, I kind of wake up and it's just dark. And I hear this man's voice and he's crying and he's just, begging me to wake up. He's like, please wake up. Please wake up. I love you so much. You're so special to me. Please wake up. And so I kept trying to wake up because I thought I was asleep and I couldn't wake up. I was like, what's going on? Why can't I wake up? And this guy's just begging me to wake up. And I finally do. And I literally felt like I took like a deep breath and I just felt a rush of energy kind of come over me. And the first thing I hear is, we got a live one.
Oh my
and
gosh.
There's like a round of applause, there's cheering. And the way the lights were on my car, I thought I was on stage because I do theater. So I thought I was on stage. And I was like, why am I on stage? And then I realized I was in my car and I had been in an accident. And then I notice off to the right, I see a pair of legs sitting in the passenger seat. So I thought, oh my God, someone was with me? So I started to look, almost kind of afraid too, because, if someone was with me, what condition are they in? What am I going to see? I never saw like a body before. I was like, what happened? And that's when the person using the jaws of life on my car stopped and he yelled at me, hold still, because I might have had spinal injury.
Right.
So he started again and they eventually got me out and I felt okay. So like they were putting me on the stretcher and I was like, I can walk. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And so they're starting to haul me into towards the ambulance. And I asked the emergency ambulance people. The first thing I asked was, did I hurt anyone? She said, no, just yourself. And then I asked, what about the other person in the car? And she paused for a second and looked towards the car. And then she said, you were the only person in the car.
But you felt determined that there was somebody else in the car with you.
Yeah. Do
you feel like, and there's more to the story that I want to get to, but do you feel like that is that the only story, or did you feel like you left your body and came back?
I did have that feeling, but the thing I kept thinking about it too was, so that's what happened when you die. It's just black. Like I had no memory. And even when I came to, I did not remember being at a bar. I didn't remember anything. I had no idea how I got there. And I kept asking what happened. And they kept telling me, oh, you were in an accident. And I guess the question I meant to ask, thinking back on it, was, yes, but how did I get there? What happened?
Right.
And Justin, this is what you described is kind of similar, not the whole thing, but just a portion of it is similar to something I experienced in 2012, my life-changing event. And when you said that you were in blackness, but you could still kind of, I guess you were conscious, or yes, on some level you were conscious. And then you came back out of it. I was in surgery, and it reminds me, what you said reminds me of how I felt. I could hear everybody around me talking when I was in recovery, but I was conscious, but on a different level of consciousness than what they were experiencing me at. And I could hear everybody talking, and I could feel everybody around me. And then as I came to, it was almost like I was being pulled up through a tunnel. I was almost being sucked up through a tunnel, and then, wow, my eyes were open, and there I was. And when you think back on that experience, because to this day, it's like nothing I've ever experienced again. Was that a wild experience for you looking back at it?
Oh, yeah. Very wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still don't quite understand like how it all worked, but it's like,
yeah. Yeah, it's just that in and of itself to me changed the way I think about a lot of things.
You had mentioned your friend Jerry and that he had passed on. Was he gone prior to this or after this, Justin?
He was gone after this.
Okay. Was he at the location that you were at that night?
No, he was out of town.
Gotcha.
Do you have any idea who actually may have been speaking to you and telling you that you were special and that you needed to wake up?
No idea. I mean, I used to think it was Jerry, and then I met my ex-fiance shortly after all this. So then when I first met him, I was like, oh, it's him. This is the guy. And it wasn't him.
Yeah. Something. And there's things, obviously, that we'll never know the answers to. So, but interesting.
So this experience changes your life. Does it change your life because of the experience itself, making you more aware of life and what's going on? Or does it actually do some sort of physical, metaphysical change to you where now your senses are heightened to kind of the woo-woo world?
My senses were definitely heightened. Like, I guess after all that and just finally getting situated, everything just seemed so much more intense, like friendships and, and the only thing I could think of, I don't, do you know the play Our Town?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So the last scene when Emily's like, oh, I want to go back. And she goes back and she's trying to get everyone, I'm here. And just that intensity, that's a great analogy for how it felt. It was just.
It's sort of, does it make you, I sort of asked some of these from my own experience, but does it sort of make everything mean a little bit more to you too?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of things I look back and I think I took some of this stuff for granted, but then it sort of opened my eyes to new things too. Mm-hmm. Did you see that happening? Were there different things in your life that you maybe took a second look at, maybe trying or doing or feeling that you never would have before?
I did. I think the following year, I started going to rock concerts and going into the mosh pits.
What? Now, come on. Yeah. I mean, Mr. I'm an empath over there. I can't stand people going into mosh pits.
Yeah. I didn't quite understand the empath thing at the time, but I did notice like being in the mosh pit, like I would always, like I felt it I only did it twice. It definitely drained me. Like afterwards, I was just.
I was just going to ask you if that was a situation that actually energized you more because of everybody's energy, or if it did suck the energy out of you.
It sucked the energy out of me. And then I was I think the first one was Korn, and that mosh pit was extremely violent. But the cool thing was that I noticed, and I was looking around watching everyone, was whenever someone fell, everyone just stopped. Yep. And they like kind of held up their hands until that person got up, and then they started moshing again.
Yep. People think that they're like really violent, but I was in a Pantera mosh pit. And wow. Yeah, and and be quiet, Todd. And but it's true though, when somebody gets hurt or there's somebody who's down on the floor, everybody stops. And they wait. They make sure you're okay and they wait. Yep. And then they just go at it again. Yeah.
On this episode of Mosh Pits.
Mosh pits are us. So anyways, so now they couldn't believe that you were okay after this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot that. So, so I go to the emergency room and, they were about to release me, I guess. And, the doctor came in and he was like looking at his charts and he was shocked. He just said all he has is a mild concussion. And I could have swore in that moment he was going to drop his clipboard and just walk out of the room just dazed.
Wow. Wow. Somebody was looking out for you. I do believe that. Definitely.
I believe so too. And let's see. Yeah. And after that, I was arrested for drunk driving.
And that changes your life too, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was. I used to not like talk about it. I used to like try to keep it a secret. But lately I've been thinking back on it being like, man, I was actually arrested? For real? Me? It's crazy.
But again, I think too, and Todd and I talk about it all the time about our path and our journey. I think that coming to terms with it is part of, it's almost necessary to be able to figure out where you're going on this journey. So I commend you for being able to talk about it now, because it's obviously very difficult. But I think in the end, it helps you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I agree.
We've had some conversations about our posse, our angels, and all that kind of stuff. And, what's your thought process and all that kind of stuff? Like, what I believe that everybody that's in the woo-woo world in some way, shape, or form has a different take on it than the next. And people can get together and they can say, oh, this is the case and this is what's going on and that is that and this is who you're talking to and all that. But I really think that everybody's personal experience makes it a different experience for everybody. So, like, how are you dealing with it right now? Where are you at in your journey with all of that? Where do you want to be in a few years?
I feel pretty good. I have no idea how anything works.
See, I'm surprised by that because you seem very, very knowledgeable and you seem more knowledgeable about it than I do.
Oh, I might be more advanced than I think.
I think so.
I did before Christmas have my first empath experience.
Let's hear about it. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Adam, he's my roommate now and best friend. But he came home and he handed me this picture of this house and he was like, "Here, just let me know if you get anything from this picture." And he gives me a picture and I was like, wait. I was like, I haven't been trained yet. He was like, just hold on to the picture. And I was like, I've never done this before. I'm not going to pick up anything from it. Jeez, Adam. So he was like, just go hang on to the picture. So I go back in my room. I'm holding on to the picture. I go back to work. I process one claim. And then I kind of go back to the picture, pick it up again. And I start looking at the house and I noticed its foundation didn't seem like a normal house foundation. It was like all stone. So then I started to wonder, I was like, was this always a house? And then that's when one of my abilities, I refer to it as an interrupting thought. It's like you have your thoughts, but then there'll be another thought that comes in from somewhere else. And that actually happened. It's a factory. And then I just picked up the picture, ran out of the room. I was like, Adam. And then I said, what's this house? Did it used to be a factory? And he was like, yes. And then after that, it just started coming. Like I started looking at the picture more and I was like, there's something not good in this house. And I was like, it's right along. And I was gesturing to a side of the house. I was like, I think it's in here. And then, and it's not good. And then I started to feel like I was suffocating, like something was holding me down, kind of choking me. So I told him that. And then he said, you are scarily accurate. And as a little kid, he said he lived in that house and there was something in that house that wasn't good. He was so scared of it that he actually one night, he hid in the bathroom with his blanket and pillow. And then that's when whatever it was, decided to attack him and started like he couldn't breathe. He was turning blue. His dad had to come in and kind of wake him up, snap him out of it. And so I'm just like experiencing that. And he's telling me about this. And I'm like, okay. And then for me, the feeling kind of changed then. Like it felt like there was smoke in my I guess, lungs, throat area. And I started kind of coughing. And he was like, yes. And then he said, shortly after that, the house caught fire. And I'm like coughing. I'm like, you don't say. And then at that point, he said his family moved shortly out of the house shortly after that. And I gave him back the picture. I was like, just take it, just move it as far away from me as possible. And it took me like a good half hour to like feel back to normal. And then I was like, well, that cherry was popped.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And here's the thing, Justin. I mean, I asked you earlier if you had psychic abilities and said, oh, no, I'm just an empath. That's more than just being an empath, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more.
Justin, that's called claircognizance. That's one of the Claire Huxtables that Todd makes fun of me about all the time.
Claire Huxtable.
I am claircognizant. There you go. Todd's bringing it up for all of our listeners at home. He's bringing a picture of Claire Huxtable up on the screen for us for our own entertainment. And that's called knowing. So you have clear knowing. And that is something that's actually extremely helpful. It can be really a good thing. The only thing I tell you is to this used to happen to me a lot growing up, but I didn't grow up with anybody who could help me. So I didn't understand what it was. Now I know more. Trust yourself. So if you get those distracting type of thoughts in your head, go with them, acknowledge them, because chances are you're probably right. And so you, my friend, are claircognizant. That's exactly what you described as a lot of the things that happened to me. So, yes. So that's one of them. I'm sure you have more, but that's one of them.
Yeah, there's probably more.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. That's a great story, because the more that you trust yourself and the more that you experience, the more confident you become. And then it helps you to kind of progress and kind of understand yourself better. So that's a pretty great story. That's wild.
Thanks.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
So
we'll have to have him on on a live cast sometime, and we'll have you like hold an object and have him guess what the object.
Oh,
I should.
See if I can get that going and be like, it's this.
I know. But you know what's funny about it, Todd and Justin, is that a lot of times for me, it just comes out of the blue. I'm not even trying. It's just things that come to me. Names come to me out of the blue. And I'm always right, which freaks me out, but is really exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it'll just come to you.
Yeah. It's it was kind of annoying. One time it happened. I was actually playing in SimCity at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I was like building my city and everything. All of a sudden it came in and said, "You need more industrial." I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Wait a minute. It's helping you play games?
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking awesome.
It helps with that. And then I swear it was like a minute. It was a minute later. All of a sudden I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean industrial." It helps with acting too. When I'm like thinking about characters, especially this last play I did, like a lot of ideas like came to me that way. And I was like,
See?
I'll try it in rehearsal tomorrow. Okay.
It's pretty cool. You know, creative. We're more creative that way, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Sandy, do some acting for me. I'm going to give you a character, and I want you to act out the scene.
No, I'm not even going
What
there.
I was going to ask Justin is this something that you think you're going to pursue a little bit harder, or do you think it's something you're just going to let kind of sit by the wayside?
I'm going to pursue it a little harder, I think. See if I can find some books so I can figure out how it works. Because right now it's like accidental, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But,
been there, still there.
Yeah. So I think I definitely want to develop it more. I don't know if the introvert me is like thinking about like giving people like readings or doing Reiki. And I'm like, can't I just be like undercover? Can't I just be like a Bond girl and just do it secretly?
You know what? It's all about you and learning about yourself. I actually really look up to the people who can do readings with such accuracy. But I think for me, it's more me just trying to help in general. I use it a lot when I do investigations, paranormal investigations. And I think it helps me learn about who I am. So I'm glad that you're going to pursue it a little bit. I learned, like I do most things, for the most part, I started learning all by myself. Read about it, talk to people, and ask them, people that you know who experience those things, and really find out. Surround yourself with a circle of really good people. Todd and I have done that, and it really helps us too. So I'm really proud of you. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
That's really good. Wow. Todd, why are you just smiling at us?
I'm just laughing because there's so many. You guys have so many things in common now. I just find it kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was like,
we do. Hi. See, where have you been all my life, Justin?
I know.
You guys can be
friends.
BFFs now, and I can just kind of go by the wayside and not have to deal with Sandy. I told him yesterday it's going to be the Sandy and Justin cast. You watch.
I was like, no. I told him don't retire.
There'll only be one BFF. Only one. Although we need new pictures. I told him that the other day. We need new, like, posing pictures. So when we go out in June, we're going to take new pictures.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
She makes all these plans for me. No, we're not. There's going to be no pictures.
You should wear costumes too, like do it like a theme or something.
Oh my gosh.
All right, that's it.
Thanks,
you
Justin.
guys get together in June. You guys wear the costumes. You guys get the pictures taken.
Oh, last time you were carrying your bag, I mean, that was your purse, as you called it. So why not? We can do costumes.
Speaking of our town, wasn't that in, and I don't know if either one of you know the Golden Girls at all, but isn't that one of the plays that they performed? Yeah, right?
Yes.
Right?
I think so. And the guy was like,
the moon is hanging low over the skies in a busty. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How could we not know the Golden Girls?
I don't know. There's people that don't. I don't know how it's possible.
Wow, I don't know how that's. My grandmother, that was her favorite show. Oh my gosh, I watched all of it because she watched it all the time too. I love them.
I used to watch it all the time too. But I was a little kid then, so a lot of the humor just kind of went right over my head.
Okay, quiet.
Sorry. Not that much younger, but.
No, you know, a little bit. So, but I mean, it doesn't, age-wise, it doesn't matter, though. It was just such a great show. Some shows are just timeless. Mm-hmm. So, Justin, we did a little bit of a poll on our Facebook page the other day, and we asked what everybody's favorite TV show was.
Oh, yeah.
And, paranormal TV show. And you said?
Dead Files.
Yay!
Yes. Which is, I really like it. I think in the beginning, I watched it in the beginning, and then I thought Amy was a little too over the top. I don't know why. At the time, I thought she
From Sandy. Sandy saying this, that Amy's over the top.
Why do you make fun of me so much? But I did, and I stopped watching it for several seasons, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, I started again, and I just love that show. I think it really keeps its integrity. And not one piece of equipment is ever brought out.
Yeah, no.
And isn't it? And it's based solely on the psychic and the researcher, the detective. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's a really well done show now. They've really evolved that show. I think it's like 14 seasons.
I think so.
And yeah. And we love Kindred Spirits.
Mm-hmm. What I like about Kindred Spirits is the fact that they have the equipment though too. They've got Ship Coffee. And then beyond that, though, they do the research, too. And I think the research is so much, for a long time, it was not part of these ghost shows. You wouldn't see the ghost hunters. I mean, you'd see them go down in the library and look some stuff up, but it was all fake. But now, like, the research is so important. And I think that's the part of it that really, really kind of interests me the most. I want to know how what we're experiencing at the location ties into something that actually happened. That's what I want to know.
Look, I get it. It's TV, so I know there's only a certain amount of time for everything. But
listen, if there's room for knock knock ghost on TV, there is room for some other stuff. I mean, if there's
they do that too. They do that
duck,
too.
Duck goose. Come on.
But really, my goal is to use my psychic abilities, my empath abilities, and scientific measurement with equipment and the history to put together a whole story and try to help. And so I really think that show really does that, and I think it's pretty darn cool. So yeah, Dead Files is definitely up there for me. Not saying too much, but I didn't see one Ghost Adventures. Did you? Good.
What were you going to say, Justin? You like Ghost Adventures?
No. But I did start watching it, but I mean, nothing against him and what they're doing, but what's Zach?
Yeah.
He just.
I know. He doesn't feel well in every single investigation. Something makes him sick every single time. And, you know, even my husband, who watches this stuff with me, who's actually in my paranormal investigating group, which I think is hilarious, but he's so into it now. But even he'll be like, Zach is sick during every single episode. And I'm like, well, he says he's an empath. And I'm like, I don't get sick every time I go investigating. So interesting show. I if you take it for what it is, it can be really good. They do dig into the history.
What is it?
It's a serious, non-serious kind of Yeah, it's if there's nothing else on, I'll watch that. It's between that and I would say, I don't know. I don't think there's any other that kind of compare to that show, really, at this time. Maybe the Osbournes Want to Believe. Did you guys ever watch that show?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, but I won't watch it.
That's pretty cheesy.
I'm not that interested in it that I have to watch a bunch of fake stuff.
No, I don't watch it, but I know about it, and it's pretty cheesy. So yeah. So anyways, so Justin, today, where are you today? So today you're on your path, and I'm assuming now that you kind of took the step back and you don't take life as seriously as you used to take.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little more. I think I have a little more of an attitude now. Like back then, before the car accident, I was all about like people pleasing. Oh, I can't make anyone upset. Oh, I want everyone to like me. And
yep.
and honestly, I think that plays another part into the memes I share, because now I'm like, fuck off.
Exactly.
Memes, and I just don't. It's like I don't care what other people think.
But it's funny because, and I have to throw you under the bus a little bit, because he will go out there and he will get himself put in Facebook jail, and then he's sad about it.
And then I'm sad. And then I'm harassing Todd with like memes. So
it's like you see Justin, you're like, oh, this guy's so cool because he doesn't care about going to jail. Look at the stuff he's sharing. Wow. And then the next one he's like, I'm in jail. He's kind of depressed about it. So
yeah.
One thing I thought was really interesting. We have so much in common. I am the same exact way as you said in your we send everybody a form beforehand so that we can kind of get some information and get their story. And you said that you're an introvert, and you have some social anxiety, but yet you can get up on a stage in front of a lot of people and you're absolutely fine.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's how I am too. And I thought I was the only one. And then now I read about you and I'm like, how many other people are like that? I mean, So Todd, for everybody who doesn't see it, Todd's putting up the new BFFs banner across our.
I love it. There's video. That's the name of your podcast, the new BFFs.
But it's very true. It's very true, and even more so when I was doing mornings on the radio, I had a radio name, and so I would go to a lot of large crowd type of events as that person. And I think when you're like we are and you're playing a character, it's so much easier to step outside yourself and to sort of be that character. And then as soon as you're off and you're back to who you are, your true self, that's when the social anxiety starts to set in. So very interesting. We should have you on the Empathicary podcast too.
Yeah, that'd
be awesome.
That would be a great podcast because we could talk strictly about empath things and how that affects us in our lives. So we'd love to have you on that podcast as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Very cool.
Cool. Well, Justin, thanks for being on. Thanks for telling your story. And
Sure,
I'll get you Sandy's phone number so you guys can talk more often.
You're such a jerk.
All right, I'll start sending you memes.
Okay, go for
Great,
it.
all right.
Go for it.
Thanks, Justin.
Bye,
We'll be right with you. Hang on.
Thank you.
Justin Gulmire
Bye.
tonight on the podcast. So
Wow.
you guys mesh so well. I could
We really
totally
do.
step away from this feeling like I've left you in
stop.
perfect hands. It's kind of like
Stop.
leaving you in the hands of Allstate. You know what I'm
Stop.
saying?
You're my one and only BFF.
No. I'm seeing.
BFF. Yes, you are. But I really do like Justin a lot. And a lot of the things he said resonated with me. And again, you know that in 2012, I had, I guess you could call it a near-death experience. I did almost die. I got really sick. I ended up in the hospital. I had surgery. And I was diagnosed as diabetic. I almost died from that. And it really did change my life. It really turned my thought process around and everything I looked at. And so a lot of what he said did resonate with me. And I'm really glad that he's on this journey, Todd, because I really think he has a lot of gifts that you don't know might actually help other people.
I want him to step it up. personally, because I think he's got a lot of stuff going on that he's not even, if I had
not even aware of.
Yeah, if I had that kind of talent and energy and cared, I'd be all over that stuff.
I can feel energies from long distance, and I was feeling his energy during.
Did you ask him before you did that? That's kind of,
Well, I didn't really think to come out and say, Justin, can I feel your energy? But
that used to be a pickup line of yours back in the 80s.
I know, right? Hey there, you're pretty cute. Can I feel your energy? And but I was, and he has very strong energies. I think he has. No, I'm being serious.
No, I think so too. It's just my mind went someplace else.
You're horrible. I think that he has a lot of things like I do. I've been told several times that I can, if I tried to, I could see and hear them. I don't want to right now at this point.
Well, and that's something he's going to have to deal with too. I mean, there's decisions to be made. How far do you take it? How far do you open up? All that kind of stuff.
Yep. Learn about I call them my spirit team. Learn about your spirit team and who's there with you and how to ask them for help and really
I need to find out who my spirit team is, because whoever the hell is my team did not do a very good job on New Year's Day. They let me fall downstairs and fuck up my knee.
Do you know what? I felt really guilty after. We'll just wrap it up in a second, but I felt really guilty after you fell, because when you were heading out to look at the house the week before, or 2 days before, I had said to you that I had a vision of black birds.
I don't know what that means. I mean...
That can be like bad juju, but at the time I didn't understand it. And I don't know for sure that it had something to do with it, but what if it did? And I felt pretty guilty after that. I didn't know if that had something to do with it
right now,
or not.
The pain I'm feeling right now is on your head, Missy.
Well, I wouldn't have known what it meant. Like, I didn't know what it meant.
Time to learn.
Anything.
Time to learn.
Somebody could have hit you with a car or something. Who knows? I don't know. But I did tell you, though. I just told you to look for black birds.
Yeah, but you told me to look for black birds. So here's me. I'm out there going, searching all around for ain't seeing none. There's no black birds out there,
I don't know. I don't know if it had anything truly to do with it, but it kind of freaked me out after the fact. So I don't know. But I love you. Just got to learn how to, trust yourself more, and he'll do it. He can do it. I think he really can. So. All right, that was a great episode. Let's make sure that everybody joins our group on Facebook, Stay Weirdos Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, likes our page on Facebook, the Sandy and Toddcast. We did mention the Empathicary podcast, another one of our podcasts. You can like that page. And we also have a new project called Mind Garden Media, and we do have podcast editing and production services that are available. So if you're thinking of starting a podcast and you're not really sure what to do and how to do it, give us an email. We'll put everything in the show notes, and we'll talk to you and see if we can figure something out to help you.
Sounds great.
There you go.
All right. Well, I guess number 2's in the bag. Until next time.
All right. Let's do this next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sounds good. See you. Bye.
Bye.